Well, first of all, thank you so much for the intro. I'd like you to come everywhere with me and do that. That was
Oh,
great.
yeah. I'll be in your pocket anytime.
Fantastic. Yeah, the panel has been fantastic. Thanks so much for having me. A lot of the panelists, you'll hear me kind of repeating a lot of stuff. It just kind of shows you how important it is, especially now. You know, the landscape has changed so much in the last very recent years, 5 years, that independent artists and songwriters even have access to be able to do sync, because it was kind of the gatekeepers of publishers, labels, managers, but with that comes being prepped. So here we are.
Very much so. I can't wait for you to get into it. Um, are you ready?
Yes, to it.
All right, let's do this. All right. So, we talked a little bit about timelines and tight deadlines. Um, can you speak to any other confirmations that need to be ready that we may have not spoken on before a track can be licensed?
I think a lot of it has really been covered. For me, the test is, if somebody messages you, supervisor, a sync company, and says, can you be ready in 10 minutes? Can you confidently answer and say yes to that? So that means, for me, I like to think of a song as a house. So you wouldn't tend to build the first floor first and then go back to the foundations, because it would never work. So yeah, the 10-minute rule is what I like to use. um and there's the checklist. A lot has been covered, but it's who owns the master, who controls the publishing, who are all the writers, have all the splits been agreed, can you find all the people that wrote the song with you. You know Experience has taught me that sometimes people fall out. So, there can be an awkwardness of trying to get hold of the writer. A lot of times it can happen when you're in a room with a large group of people. Maybe some of them are just a friend and they contribute, one line to the song. They might have 10%. It's, can you get hold of them? Do they have their pro in order? So the 10-minute rule, is there any samples? Do you have approval on it, or do you need to seek approval? So there's been a lot of talk of one stop, um, and kind of approaching this panel, I kind of approached it as being an independent songwriter or artist. Um, so certainly my opinion is one stop for being an independent is the way forward if you can manage that.
That is very helpful, and it doesn't hurt to reiterate, but I'm having some questions based on trends that we're seeing
Mhm.
about duration and about quality, especially since we're seeing an uptick in verticals now. Does that change anything
Yeah. The
for
do you mean the duration of the song? Like how long the song is?
exactly? Would you say
Oh,
that songs should be more short form now, or should there be any changes now that the way that we view the programming and material is changing? What do you think about that?
yeah, absolutely. I think as um take yourself out of music for a second, the way you consume anything and the way we consume everything on a daily basis at such a fast rate. My husband and I struggle to watch a movie without picking up our phone. So I think it's just a sense of moving with the times. I don't think it has to be um, a creative focus that you have to shorten your songs, or intentionally make them shorter. But I do find that naturally, probably we're going towards that, purely because of attention spans. So what was frowned upon 10 years ago of not having a 3 minute and 3.5 minute song, 2 minutes is good. So yeah, I think moving with the trends and not against it, and especially relating this to sync, a 2 minute song is great, especially if you can cover, different genres, and different bases within that song from, the intro to the end, whether it be a change up of genre in the middle, because we're seeing a lot of multi genre songs. Having worked in K-pop, this was they were doing this years ago, and I see it now more and more of being the trend of kind of including how many different genres you can do in a song.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and to add on, so we talked a little bit about duration, and that was really helpful. What about quality control? What are some things that you notice in like a mix and master that makes it sync ready and like
Wow.
available for streaming across, multiple platforms versus something that sound like unpolished or like a little raw from like a
Mhm.
technical point? Is there anything that you could share about that?
I mean, not so much technical. My point. I'm not a producer, but in terms of to my ears, it is something that doesn't that doesn't hurt your ears. And I think at this point, as we mentioned, it wouldn't be a panel unless you mentioned AI. There are a lot of AI tools for songwriters and producers now to run it through, a basic master. So I think it's available to everyone to make sure that they've done something like that before they send it out. Um, Years ago, there used to be you could send a song and ask somebody if they saw the potential in it, or it's not finished but have a listen. And those days have definitely gone with the volume of songs that are being released on a daily basis. So certainly working with your producer in house first of all to make sure the mix feels good on your ears, and then certainly using a tool to make sure that it sits at the right quality control before you send it to anyone.
For sure. Um, and I would also like to get your perspective on disco and how
Mhm.
you use it in your own practice,
Yeah.
as a segue to our next section.
Yeah, disco for me, everyone should have it. It's a nominal fee, monthly, and it basically is everything you could possibly need in one place, being on the supervision side and also being on the artist side. Um, you have nesting now, so you can now put your main song and your instrumental in there. You can put your lyrics in there. You can choose your genres. You can choose your moods. There's a note section. Say, for example, the song is easy clear, or there's some more details that you need to add on songwriters. You could put it in the notes section. There's also a place to put all your publishing details, if that pertains to the song, as well as your society details as well. So disco for me, I absolutely love it, and it's a very easy tool to use. Also, when you're using it to pitch, you can create different playlists. So if you have everything in one place, you just pull it in there. You can have your signed one stops in there and send everything, via somebody's inbox straight to them.
For sure. Um, I've noticed recently in some all halls, some briefs specifically, that their request for demographic or like regional information. Can you briefly speak to why that may be important? Like maybe if an artist is LGBTQIA plus, or if it's a woman producer, gender expansive
Mhm.
producer, like how important it is to have demographic information as part of like the meta or um, the
Mm.
searchability, like
Yeah,
from the artist. Yeah.
that's not a it's not something I fully know the answer to, but I certainly receive briefs like that. And I think it's a personal taste that might go way back to the director, or the commercial, or the person within the movie that's requesting something like that, or the type of movie it might be. Um, Yes, I'm not fully sure on the answer on that, which is something to find out.
For sure. Well, thank you.
Mm,
Um, with that being said, though, I think it's important to note that the metadata, covers the music, but also covers the artists themselves as well, because it could be
mhm.
just as important. Amazing. So, um, we are going to take some questions as well, for you. You guys know the drill by now, hand raise. And if not, do it in your window so that I can see your hand up. For Cameron. Yeah, I'm scanning. Okay, Billy, go for it.
I kind of want to ask the same question that I asked the woman earlier because, in our world is in terms of creating um, songs that are 100% written by the songwriters themselves, lyrics and music, and owning. My question to you is like, what happens if a Suno master ends up in your desk and you love the tune? Is that still a barrier to you for you to pitch it because the AI scenario is just one that's still up in the air on the business side? I'm just curious, what's been your experience behind that? What you're thinking behind that? What do you think the present and the future is going to be
Mhm.
related to that
Yeah,
subject?
absolutely. I think you essentially answered your own question. I think when it lands on the desk, it's still very much um, a no right now, just in terms of we have a lot of music available that, can be fully organic. And with the launch of AI, because we don't know essentially where it's going to lead in the music industry, the tendency is now still to, use something that has people on it.
Thank you so much, Cameron. That was incredible. Music supervisor Cameron Neilson from Idyllwild Pictures. Give it up for Cameron. Show some love in the
That's it.
chat. Use emojis. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining.